Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking into a story that, well, it's just never really gone away, has it? The death of Marilyn Monroe, August 4th, 1962.
That's right. Officially, it was ruled a probable suicide, acute barbiturate poisoning. Case closed. Not really.
Not even close, because when you actually dig into the files, the reports, the interviews, you find all these inconsistencies, big ones.
Yeah, things that just don't line up. Conflicts in the actual physical evidence, witness timelines that seem, frankly, impossible, and these persistent stories, claims, really, of a cover-up, a high-level one.
So our mission today is to kind of wade through all of that, explore these different narratives the sources give us, and there are basically two big paths we need to walk down.
Right. One is, let's be honest, pretty sensational. It involves deep state conspiracies, UFOs, government secrets.
The whole 9 yards. And the other path, it's much more focused on the ground, on the, forensic facts. The contradictions there strongly suggest the scene was staged, maybe to protect some very powerful people.
And we really need to look at both to get the full picture. So maybe let's start with the really out there one, the alleged UFO connection.
Okay, yeah, let's dive into that. It doesn't get much bigger, does it? This idea is heavily pushed by ufologist Dr. Stephen Greer.
Right. And his core claim isn't about her affairs, which is what you usually hear. It's that Marilyn was about to go public, hold a press conference.
About what, though?
Not about who she was dating. According to Greer, she was going to reveal massive national security secrets.
Yeah.
Things allegedly told to her by President Kennedy and his brother, Robert Kennedy, the Attorney General.
Okay. And these secrets were?
About, and this is the claim, the reality of flying saucers and the remains of a crashed alien spacecraft and its dead occupants. Basically, the biggest secret the government supposedly held.
Wow. Okay, so where does this claim even come from? What's the basis?
It mostly hinges on this really controversial document, supposedly a leaked CIA wiretap summary. It's dated just like 2 days before she died.
A wiretap on Marilyn.
Allegedly. And this document supposedly details her threatening to expose state secrets, including, get this, JFK supposedly visiting a secret airbase to look at things from outer space.
Right. So if you believe that document is real and accurate, then Marilyn threatening to spill those beans, that's a motive for assassination, isn't it?
That's the theory. A catastrophic security breach.
Yeah.
In this version of events, the killers aren't, scorned lovers or anything simple. They're agents of a shadow government, a deep state cabal.
Sometimes called Majestic 12 or MJ-12.
Exactly. MJ-12, that alleged secret group, supposedly set up by Truman back in '47 after Roswell to handle exactly this kind of thing. Alien tech crashes.
So according to this theory, her death was basically a state-sanctioned hit to protect the ultimate secret.
That's the core of the Greer claim, yeah. Now, we absolutely have to say this is highly contested. Mainstream historians, even some UFO researchers, dismiss this document and the theory as disinformation.
Okay, fair enough. But the idea raises a point, doesn't it? Even if you dismiss the UFO part, if any kind of cover-up or staging happened, shouldn't we see signs of it in the concrete evidence, the forensics?
Precisely. That's the perfect pivot.
Yeah.
Let's park this sensational stuff for a moment and look at the medical facts. What does the autopsy actually say?
Okay. So the official cause is undisputed. Acute barbiturate poisoning. Her blood levels were sky high.
Yeah, lethally high. We're talking 4.5 milligrams percent of pentobarbital. The lethal dose is usually around 1.0 milligram percent, plus 13.0 milligram percent of chloral hydrate found in her liver. Huge amounts.
So the drugs were definitely there, no question. But here's where it gets really weird, right? The stomach.
This is the central conflict, the massive contradiction. Blood saturated with drugs enough to kill her many times over,
right.
But her stomach. Dr. Noguchi, the coroner, found only a small, almost negligible amount of residue.
Negligible. But if she swallowed, maybe 40 or 50 pills to reach those blood levels, shouldn't her stomach have been full of dissolving capsules, powder, that yellow dye from the Nembutal?
Exactly. Noguchi specifically noted finding no pill residue. No telltale yellow stains in her stomach or even her esophagus. Nothing like what you'd expect from swallowing that many capsules.
That's a huge problem for the suicide by pills theory, isn't it? It just doesn't physically add up.
It's a massive forensic gap. It strongly suggests the drugs didn't enter her system that way. They bypassed the stomach.
Okay, so if not swallowing, what about injection?
Ruled out. Noguchi was meticulous. He confirmed they examined her body thoroughly and found no fresh needle marks, no signs of IV or intramuscular injection.
Wait, if she didn't swallow them and she didn't inject them, how did that lethal dose get into her bloodstream? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. And this leads us to a theory that sounds bizarre, but medically it actually fits the evidence gap, the enema theory.
An enema, you mean? Rectally administered.
Yes. The theory is the barbiturates, possibly dissolved in liquid, were given via an enema.
Why would that fit?
Well, two main reasons. First, it completely bypasses the stomach, which explains why Noguchi found no residue there, despite the high blood levels. Second, we actually have testimony, pretty credible testimony, from her housekeeper, Eunice Murray.
What did she say?
Murray confirmed Marilyn used enemas regularly, sometimes just for cleansing, but also for legitimate medical reasons. She apparently suffered from chronic endometriosis and colitis. And crucially, both pentobarbital and chloral hydrate can be absorbed rectally.
Okay, so it's medically plausible, but is there any evidence of an enema at the scene?
And here's the next major problem. The official autopsy report makes absolutely no mention of any physical signs you might expect, like trauma or irritation in that area.
Nothing.
Not mentioned. And maybe even more damning. No enema kit, no bag, no tubing, nothing like that was recovered from the bedroom or listed in the police evidence inventory.
So either the police somehow missed a crucial piece of medical gear in Marilyn Monroe's bedroom on the night she died, which seems unlikely.
Or someone removed it before the police got there, which points directly towards a cleanup, a staging of the scene.
Which brings us right to the timeline problems. The witness accounts versus the medical facts.
This is maybe the most glaring contradiction. Let's look at the official story the witnesses gave the police.
Okay, so the housekeeper, Eunice Murray, said she got worried around 3 a.m. Sunday morning. Marilyn's light was on, but the bedroom door was locked. Unusual.
Right, so she called Dr. Ralph Greenson, Marilyn's psychiatrist. He supposedly arrived around 3:30 a.m. They couldn't get in, so he broke a pane of glass in the French doors, reached in, unlocked it, and found her.
And then they called the police.
Not right away. They waited until 4:25 a.m. to make the call. And crucially, their story was that she looked like she had just died.
Just died at 4:25 a.m. But what did the coroner Noguchi say about the actual time of death?
Completely different, based on the physical state of the body specifically. Marked rigor mortis and fixed livor mortis, Noguchi estimated she died much, much earlier.
How much earlier?
His estimate was between 8:30 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. the previous night, Saturday night.
Wait, Saturday night. So Murray and Greenson find the body sometime after 3:00 a.m. Sunday, wait over an hour to call police, and claim she just died.
When the medical evidence says she'd likely been dead for, 5 to 7 hours already?
Exactly. A massive, unexplained gap of 5 to 7 hours. What were they doing all that time?
It sounds like staging the scene, cleaning up.
The forensic evidence strongly suggests staging. Let's talk about that livor mortis again. That's the purple-ish settling of blood due to gravity after death.
Right. It shows the position the body was in when the blood settled.
Correct. And Noguchi found lividity on her front consistent with the face-down position she was found in. But here's the kicker. He also found fixed lividity on her back.
On her back, too?
Yeah.
But you can't have fixed lividity on opposite sides of the body, can you? Gravity only pulls one way.
Precisely. It's physically impossible unless
she died in one position, stayed there long enough for the lividity to fix, and then was moved into a different position before she was found. Exactly. She must have died lying on her back. The lividity fixed there. Then hours later, someone moved her body, rolling her face down before the police arrived.
That's concrete proof the scene was altered. It wasn't just the timeline that was off. The body itself was repositioned.
Which explains why the very first police officer on the scene, Sergeant Jack Clemens, immediately thought something was wrong. He said the whole setup looked phony.
Phony how?
He specifically mentioned the telephone. It was clutched in her hand, supposedly for making a final call. But Clemens said it looked completely unnatural, like a prop just placed there after she was already dead.
Wow. So, okay. We have a lethal dose of drugs that likely wasn't swallowed or injected. We have a missing 5 to 7 hour window. We have proof the body was moved. We have a scene the first cop thought was staged. The question is who was there during those missing hours and why the cover-up?
And this is where the focus often shifts back towards the political connections, specifically Robert F. Kennedy.
RFK, the Attorney General. Why him?
Well, remember Peter Lawford's phone call? The actor, married to JFK's sister.
Yeah, the one around 7:30 p.m. Saturday night, where Marilyn sounded slurred and said that really disturbing goodbye message. Say goodbye to Pat, say goodbye to the president, and say goodbye to yourself.
Right. Now, Lawford's initial story about why he called her at 7:30 p.m. was apparently because She was late for dinner at his house.
Okay.
But other sources indicate Marilyn had already called Lawford around 5:00 p.m. that day to cancel the dinner plans.
So Lawford wasn't calling because she was late. He likely called because he was already worried, perhaps after hearing from her earlier, or maybe after that 5:00 p.m. call. And then her slurred speech and that goodbye message sent him into a panic.
Exactly. It wasn't about a missed dinner. It was about a potential crisis involving Marilyn and, implicitly, the Kennedys. And remember, Lawford lived really close by.
How close?
Santa Monica to a place in Brentwood. Maybe a 10, 15-minute drive. Easy trip.
Okay, so proximity isn't an issue. Is there any actual evidence RFK was at Marilyn's house that night, during those missing hours?
This is where testimony from a man named Norman Jeffries comes in. It's pretty explosive. Jeffries was Eunice Murray's son-in-law. He was apparently doing some work on the house that day, so he was around. Considered a credible witness by many researchers.
And what did Jeffries claim?
Decades later, he told investigators two key things. First, he said he witnessed a huge, furious argument between Marilyn and Robert Kennedy earlier that afternoon.
Okay, so RFK was definitely in L.A. and interacting with her that day. What else?
More significantly, Jeffries claimed he saw Robert Kennedy return to the house later that night, around 10:00 p.m.
10:00 p.m. That fits right into Noguchi's estimated time of death window, doesn't it? 8:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m.
Perfectly. And Jeffries said RFK wasn't alone. He came back with Peter Lawford and a third man Jeffries didn't recognize, but who was carrying a doctor's bag.
A doctor's bag. And what happened then?
According to Jeffries, they essentially took over. They ordered him to leave the property immediately. This was around 10:00 p.m. Saturday night.
So if Jeffries' account is true, RFK, Lawford, and potentially someone acting as a doctor were at the house right around the time she died, and they cleared the scene of other witnesses.
It provides a chilling explanation for the missing hours. That 5 to 7 hour delay before calling the police wasn't just random panic. It was potentially calculated time.
Time to do what? Stage the suicide scene. Move the body.
Yes, and time to remove any compromising evidence, like that hypothetical enema kit, maybe phone logs, anything linking RFK directly to the scene at the time of death. And crucially, time for Robert Kennedy to get out of Los Angeles, establish an alibi somewhere else, before any official investigation began.
That paints a very different picture than probable suicide. Did anyone else involved ever crack, besides Jeffries?
The silence held for a long time, but eventually, yes. Eunice Murray herself, the housekeeper, reportedly broke down years later in 1985.
What did she say?
She apparently contradicted her original police statement, admitting RFK had been there that day, and she lamented, "Why at my age do I still have to cover up this?"
Wow. And Lawford.
Peter Lawford also reportedly confessed to friends later in his life that there had been a massive cover-up, specifically to protect Robert Kennedy's political career, which was obviously on the rise.
It wasn't just them, was it? There were others involved in managing the situation.
Right, like Marilyn's publicist, Pat Newcomb. She was apparently at Lawford's house when he got that panic call from Marilyn. Reports suggest that when Lawford wanted to immediately call for help, maybe an ambulance, Newcomb ran interference, urging delay. Actions that, if true, bought crucial time for the alleged cleanup crew.
So let's try and pull this all together. The official story is suicide by pills. But the physical evidence, it just doesn't fit.
No. Lethal drug levels, yes, but no evidence of swallowing them, no injection marks. It points towards another method, maybe the enema, but the evidence for that is missing, suggesting removal.
And the timeline is impossible. Witnesses claim she just died hours after the coroner says she was already dead. Plus, clear proof the body was moved after death.
Add to that the late-life confessions, Jeffries' eyewitness account of RFK at the scene around the time of death. It paints a compelling picture of, at minimum, a death scene that was heavily manipulated, staged.
A scene staged to protect powerful people, potentially Robert F. Kennedy himself.
That seems to be where the more grounded evidence points. We started this deep dive talking about, UFOs and MJ-12.
A truly wild theory.
Yeah. But the trail of actual forensic contradictions and witness testimony seems to lead not to aliens, but to a very earthly, very political crisis involving arguably the most powerful family in America at the time.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Regardless of exactly how she died, the evidence strongly suggests a cover-up occurred, that powerful forces could manipulate a death scene, erase hours of events, and enforce silence for decades.
All to control the narrative surrounding the death of this global icon.
It leaves you wondering, if they could potentially cover this up so effectively for so long, What else might still be hidden? What other secrets related to that night or those powerful figures remain buried under all that carefully constructed silence?